So in this session, we're going to be talking about the Modified Barthel Index, or the MBI, and these are the things that we're going to cover. So first of all, we'll cover what is the MBI. So high-level overview, it's a standardized assessment tool that's used for assessing the ADL function of adults, primarily with neuro-orthopedic type conditions, so those more physical impairments. So I'll run you through some populations that we would commonly use it with, which is the next question there, which is who is it for? And we'll also cover, so who can administer the MBI? So in this case, it's definitely one that OTs can do because it is focused on that ADL sort of self-care level, which is generally what we're assessing day in, day out in those sorts of adult caseloads. Where do OTs use the MBI? So it's used quite commonly across hospital settings, in particular for people that are being discharged from hospital, sometimes in rehab settings at the start and at the end, as used as an outcome measure. And we're also seeing it more in the private sector as well. In Australia, in the NDIS, it's one of those common assessment tools that OTs will often include in a functional capacity assessment report, because it is that sort of overview of this is what their ADL function is, and it gives a number and corresponds that number to a level of dependency overall in terms of their function. So it's helpful for capturing that snapshot that we might be looking for in our FCAs. Why should OTs use it? So I've touched on this a little bit already, but it is a good outcome measure tool. So it is sensitive to change in terms of if you did it with someone at the start of a rehab journey, or maybe at the start of working with someone in the private sector over 12 months, and then redid it again at the end of their journey with you, you'll hopefully be able to see some change. So if they've got a condition where we're expecting to see improvements with therapy, then it can be a good indication of the success that therapy has had. And the flip side is that if you're working with someone more that degenerative type condition, it can still measure and track their change. So if there has been a decline, you're capturing that decline with numbers, and that can sometimes help you advocate for more funding for some of your clients. When you shouldn't use it. So there's different reasons why you shouldn't use it. I have seen some OTs and OT students using it inappropriately at times. So primarily it is made for adults with those physical type impairments. So if the person's reason for not being able to shower or dress is more related to a psychosocial reason or a mental health condition, it's not really capturing the right thing there. So that's not what we're looking for to use the MBI. If someone's actually really independent with their self-care, they're probably going to max out and get 100 out of 100. So what we'd be looking for is a tool that's actually going to capture where they do have difficulties. For something like an FCA in the NDIS, we want to capture where the support needs are actually needed. And if someone's performing 100 out of 100 on assessment tool, it's not really adding any value from that point of view. How to use it. So this is the one thing, sometimes you can read about an assessment tool and you're like, yep, sounds great, but how do you actually do it? So in this session, I'll give you some tips about making sure that you're basing your scores on your observations, not just about what the client tells you, and a few extra little tricks along the way in terms of the different scoring scales, maybe which one might be more sensitive or more appropriate to use in your caseload. And the good winner as well is that you can do it manually, like on a pen and paper type scoring sheet, or there's actually an online calculator, and I think there's a couple, but I'll show you my favorite version where you can just basically pop in your answers, it'll calculate the score for you and even print you out a PDF that you can add straight to the patient's medical records. So that will come up later on. We'll use a case study to run you through how to do that. And the wrap up will give you a few more extra resources and also a bit of homework. So if you want to test yourself further, a video that you can do and try and score somebody on a video in terms of their MBI. So if that sounds like it's worth sticking around for, let's get started.